stop, pause. How beautiful is this moment? And even now, it's so touching. It's just like, I'm on this island, living this life. And I'm rushing to get to the next thing. Get to the next thing so I can get to the next thing. And why can't I just be here? I have what I would consider a very violent inner critic.
Yeah.
And so this practice is so helpful for me to really ground into reality.
What's that violent inner critic like?
Violent. I use that word very specifically because he's violent.
What's your relationship to it now?
Oh, it's
desperate. I remember being on my knees and like, don't leave me. And I think what was really unhealthy about my orientation to that relationship was that I felt and I needed that person to become who I wanted to become. And what I learned through the breakup was, I need to become that person myself. And so it's like holding that I am enoughness with like, I want to keep growing. I can keep growing. And that breakup was 6 years ago. And for me, the arc has been how to hold I am enough and I can become more. I am enough is such a hard belief for many people to find.
I was talking to my mom, actually, and I was letting her know what had happened. And she didn't say it directly, but the fear in her voice that I was going to do something to hurt myself. And her words of like, promise me you're not going to do anything. It was like this feeling of, why are these the only options that I have? It is a powerful, powerful release.
Have you always been able to cry?
No.
When did that change?
I remember when I was just getting into the online space and learning to become comfortable on camera is also a skill. Talking to someone brings a certain lightness for me. Then all of a sudden when I put a camera here to talk into it, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, everything. I was shooting like probably it was a 30-second thank you for like signing up to whatever. And it took me 2.5 hours to film it.
This was like one of your early pieces of
super
content.
early pieces of content. And when this would have been 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
But I still have that video. And that's when I think one of the most powerful things of getting good on camera is it's very easy to document your progress.
Yeah.
And like watching that.
Right.
And then the ease at which I can get into that state with a camera in front of me now is drastically different, but it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, it's definitely it's changing for me, but it's still not natural. I think this is feeling reasonably natural now. I think when I'm shooting my solo vlogs, it feels quite unnatural and I really want to, just lean into this question of how to be natural. I want to ask you about what you're working on at the moment. To suddenly switch topic.
Yeah, what I am working on at the moment is, it's such a great question because it forces me to put it into a compact thing. But I am working on bringing men together, specifically men who are going through heartbreak, and providing a space for them to learn a better way to do that, a more effective way, ideally, and tie that in with community. So how can you bring men together? I think there's oftentimes this idea that we as men are supposed to do things alone. And if we ask for help, then we're somehow weak. And I think one of my major revelations through my own heartbreak is this idea of asking for help, of being around community, of asking for support. And so that is currently what I'm trying to build, is a space for men in a very specific point in time, dealing with a very specific pain, hurt, wounding, and bringing them together to help heal that in ideally a more efficient way.
And this specific point in time is?
The specific point in time is after a heartbreak. It doesn't have to be immediately after, but usually what happens, what I've noticed both in myself and the men that I have worked with is this. Usually something happens to bring awareness that something's not working. And that can be many different things, but oftentimes at the start it's usually you see something about your ex pop up on like your phone or something, and you have this feeling like, oh, I'm over this, I'm over this, I'm good, and then something happens and it shoots you back, and there's this realization of like, oh, I'm not good.
Yeah. And I think something I've noticed is some men get really stuck for a long time in deep pain that they're just not able to work through. And I guess it's like the stages of grief. Heartbreak is, I'm curious how you see like heartbreak and grief and similarities or differences there. I think when I'm going through heartbreak, I always remind myself of the phases of grief, because I'm like, okay, this will move through these feelings of, I can't remember this precise like definition of the stages of grief off the top of my head, but like the resentment and the anger and the judgment and the feeling that you're never going to get through it, to a point of acceptance. And I see people getting stuck sometimes in these early phases, and it's really hard, without support and without having like learned emotional tools. It's, wow, what a painful thing it can be, and a debilitating thing it can be.
Yeah, I resonate a lot with that in some of my previous heartbreaks, and also with the men that I talk to, where it's this how to explain this, but basically me and a lot of men I talk to become comfortable with a certain level of pain. Right, and there's this pain of like kind of just like right under the surface, and there's like an awareness that it's there, and that the avoidance of that pain creates pain, but we become okay with that, and so we just kind of like coast, and so we basically decide that I'm comfortable with this level of pain so that I don't have to go down to the deep thing that I know is like lurking beneath the surface. Yeah. And so I just accept this, I'm going to live in this level of pain.
This is new base reality.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can function now. I'm just going to like get on with my life, and looking at the emotional wound is too painful or it's not necessary, and I can just do my thing, and I'm going to push through, and I'm going to force myself to, I see, what happens then? What are the different like outcomes of that, do you see?
I think one of the big, I think there's a quote by like Rumi, I guess, or it's like, when you try to ignore something, I'm going to butcher this quote, but basically the extent of it is, when you ignore something and push it down, it comes back bigger. And that's ultimately the big problem that comes up, is that you don't pay attention to it, you push it down, and so all of these wounds that you're avoiding healing will slowly seep into your unconscious, and so then you start repeating patterns that either you're aware of or not, but at some point you'll notice like, I am doing the same thing over and over again, and usually the cause of that is this avoidance, and so then that avoidance with enough time kind of seeps back into your unconscious.
Yeah, I think there's this seeming paradox that like the thing that melts away pain is looking at it more closely. I think I didn't understand that before I got into meditation deeply. I think it was on my first 10-day silent meditation retreat. Just like ruminating, days passing by, and it was finally like, I can't stop. I can't keep looking away from this thing that is causing me discomfort. And looking away just causes these negative thought cycles. And it's like, to break the cycle, look at the thing. And when you look at the thing, it there's a pain to it, but it's also like, it's actually less, there's like an okayness with the pain. It's like, okay, I'm just going to feel this difficult emotion. And through that process, understanding comes, just a deeper awareness of the subtleties of it, self-compassion emerges, and the thing begins to dissolve.
Sorry, my camera froze. I think it's still recording, but I need to restart the camera.
Okay.
Thankfully it's only the camera that's on you that froze.
Okay, we're back.
Rock and roll, we're back in action.
Okay.
Looking at the pain. What was the question that started this flow?
I know where we were.
Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things that you brought up in that is, as you are finally putting yourself in a space to feel the pain, right? Because I think that's one of the big misconceptions I see with a lot of people, myself included, is that thinking about your pain and feeling your pain are two very, very different things. Very, very different things. And so oftentimes we get caught in this loop, I myself included, of like, oh, I'm looking at this and really I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. And it really takes a very intentional effort putting yourself in a place like a Vipassana where all the distractions get taken away and you get to be with yourself. And when you can give yourself that space, especially if it's a practice that you're not used to, all of a sudden it's unavoidable, right? This thing that has been growing under the surface that I have been distracting from through my phone, through dating, through work, through whatever it is. All of a sudden I put myself in a space where now I can feel it.
Great, yeah. This distinction between...
Sorry, this camera froze again.
You shut it down and started it up already?
Yeah.
I guess we'll do some editing of this one.
Yeah.
Thinking about versus feelings during heartbreak. I'm curious about what started this. Was the thing that got you like, oh, heartbreak is something I really want to talk about and think about and work with? Was that your own heartbreak?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. My own heartbreak launched me into a depth of pain that I don't think I've ever felt before. And there was a moment in that when I was talking to my mom, actually, and I was letting her know what had happened. And she didn't say it directly, but the fear in her voice that I was going to do something to hurt myself, and her words of like, promise me you're not going to do anything. And there was this awareness that came to me in that pain, in my anger. It was like this feeling of, why are these the only options that I have? Why is there no option for me to heal through this and come back better than I've ever been before? Why is that not an option?
It's like there was a sense that you're fucked, there's no way out.
Right, that I'm either going to go drink, do drugs, hurt myself in some other way, and that I basically won't be able to process this pain.
Yeah.
And so that was hard to receive, of like, oh, like feeling from people that they're like scared for me. Right? And so that was the initial seed. Then as I'm similar to you in your Vipassana, where it's like all of a sudden I couldn't do anything, right? All my work stopped, everything stopped. And so I had a lot of time to be. And ultimately that's when we met. That was a
couple of weeks in.
Yeah, in the depth of this. And
how were you feeling then when we met?
Oh, hopeful. There was some hope there. And in that kind of this awareness of like being around people that can hold these big emotions for the first time, right? Being around a group of people that didn't judge me for the things that were coming out of my mouth, for the emotions that I was showing, for the explosiveness, for the shyness, all these things, everything was welcome. Right. That was one of the big statements of that week, was everything is welcome, you are welcome.
We met in a week-long immersive retreat, like 12 hours a day for 7 days, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think it was powerful for many people there, everyone going through their own thing at the time, and it was a really great space to dive into what personal transformations each person was needing to go through at that point. I was also in heartbreak at that point as well, and it was a really powerful container to work with that.
What was so interesting for you in that?
What were some interesting things in that week for me?
Yeah.
I can't remember what happened with heartbreak there. Something that you said a moment ago resonated though. You were talking about, I had this lesson in Vipassana which was like, oh, look at the pain more deeply in order to let it dissipate. And that was a Vipassana retreat I'd done a year before my biggest breakup. but it took me a while to find that lesson within the heartbreak. And I remember it being very painful, and even months in, I was like feeling desperate. I was like messaging people that tell me when this ends, kind of thing. It's like, this is brutal, and there was a desperation there, and it was ultimate. Like, I don't know. I was about to say, it's like, next time I go through a heartbreak, I think I will have learned the lesson that, like, I know it's temporary, and yeah, I don't know if that's. I think there's like a knowing that it's temporary, and there's like the feeling you just got to go through it. However much you know something is temporary, there's just a lot of pain sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, there's another view of it that kind of came through for me is the beauty of pain. Right? There's this feeling that, oh, this hurts so badly, when is this going to end? But oftentimes that is such a beautiful reflection of a well-lived life. Right? The only reason you're feeling pain that deeply in the first place is because of how deeply you were loving, how deeply you were trusting, all of these beautiful aspects of being human. And then the pain that comes on the backside of that is just a reflection of, putting yourself out there in the first place.
I'm curious, how do you define or describe heartbreak? What is heartbreak?
Oh, heartbreak is what did someone I hear say the other day that really resonated? It was like, what did they say? It's not your heart that was broken, it was your expectations.
Not your heart that was broken, it was your expectations. You expected something that didn't end up happening. Yeah. And that really, I think it's like a lost possibility. This thing that could have been will no longer be.
Yeah. And there's an idea of, like, building up this future, tying your identity to that. And so then the deeper you tie your identity to that future, or how that person makes you feel, or all of these aspects, as soon as that's gone, then all of a sudden there's this reckoning of, oh, none of that's going to happen.
Right. And it reminds me of a question I'm wrestling with at the moment, and working with, and it feels like there were big shifts underway with me in the recent months around secure attachment to myself. And so it's like, what does one's... I think, like, attachment is, and like whether one is anxiously attached or securely attached or whatever, like this is a crucial... I think it's a really useful model to look at how we're having healthy relationships romantically. And I'm wondering, like, what is there a lesson you might have? What if you were going to say some words of wisdom to your past self? Was there anything that your present self could have said to your past self to help them through that process more easily?
It was funny. This is going to get into a little bit of some woo, but
let's get down with the woo. When in bud.
Yeah, on my heartbreak journey, I came across this idea of inspiration. Where does inspiration come from? And the thought behind that was that it's basically a memory from your future self. And so I remember having moments in my heartbreak in these deep pits of pain, and there was something in there, like there was some knowing that it was going to be okay, that it was going to turn out better than I ever could have imagined. And then as I'm going through my healing journey, there are these moments, many times, where I am sitting, thinking back to that man, that boy, that child who's receiving this news that my partner didn't want to be in a relationship with me anymore, and sending messages back to me at that specific moment in time. It's going to be okay. It's going to turn out better than you ever imagined. This is ultimately going to be a gift. Right.
I have an impulse to frame all that in for the non-woo listeners out there. I feel one of which might be me if I was watching this. I feel like there's a mechanism in there that makes sense to my, like, more rational, logical, non-woo mind, which is like there's a deep wisdom we have and a knowing, and even if a part of us is in a lot of pain, there's a part of us that knows everything's going to be okay, and that wisdom's there throughout. And so we can, like, access it, and maybe we can have a story that it's coming from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a future version of you that has, like, more deeply learned that lesson, ourselves today, and we can, like, imagine sending that message back to our past selves, and it's just a way to just reinforce the lesson to ourselves now. And so those practices, if you call them practices, are like, they're really useful and nourishing.
Yeah.
And I have an impulse. I feel like there's so much wisdom in like the spiritual realm that a lot of people just don't get access to because they're immediately repulsed by like certain framings that they might not find like intuitively truthful or accurate. Like, oh, that just sounds like nonsense. I'm not gonna like ever even consider like how I might even access this kind of wisdom. And I think different framings can be useful. So I just have an impulse to do that.
But yeah, I mean, to speak to more to advice to your question around like what would my actual advice I would give my past self, right? That super helped me. And one was what we talked about, right? That thinking about my feelings is drastically different than feeling my feelings.
Yeah.
That's massive. And the
thinking about my feelings is drastically different than feeling my feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as a man, I get caught up in the thinking, oh, I'm doing this work, I'm doing this work, I'm doing this work. And another piece of advice, right, is you cannot solve an emotional problem with rational thinking.
This is like almost a reframing of that same idea.
Yeah.
Can we go into that and like give it like an example of like the nuance of what it's actually like to go through feeling versus thinking about a feeling?
Yeah, I think we can. I think a lot of this I think you are very good at, and in our relationship I have seen you do this so well, right? And it's this idea of when you go into a feeling, right? As I'm doing this exercise on camera, I notice this feeling right here in my solar plexus. And it feels electric, and it's like this small little like vibrating ball. Yeah, almost like a little mini sun with like electricity on the outside, yellow, super warm. And so when I get into that feeling, this is a feeling of like that I connect to nervousness, right? Or to being seen, or to be saying something that is a little bit, right?
Great. So I didn't want to. So that's feeling the feeling, and it's like literally like physically sensing what's going on in my body as I have an emotion. And when that's done as like thinking about a feeling, what's like an alternate, the thing that maybe isn't so useful if we want to try and like work through when we're choosing to like engage with the difficult emotion, which is not, I think, what we should always be doing. But sometimes it's like, okay, it's time to take this on. We can do the feeling thing. But sometimes we get stuck in these loops of thinking about a feeling. And if you were to be thinking about that feeling right now, what would that look like?
I mean, the thinking would be almost a bypass of, oh, I know that when people talk about public speaking or being in front of the camera, it causes nervousness. And so that makes sense for what I have heard and read and seen. So I must be nervous, right? And part of that is true, right? There is some nervousness. And if I dive into that feeling, that's also a feeling I get when I'm really excited, right? So there is a part that gets missed when I'm in the thinking space. And
I see people very often doing this, but by talking about past or future experiences and talking about causality. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm someone who gets, so I'm like, oh, how are you feeling right now? And they'll go into, oh yeah, I'm someone who gets nervous on camera, because they remember having felt nervous before. I'm someone who gets nervous on camera, and getting nervous on camera makes me like awkward. And so it's like talking about the ideas that they know to be true. But it's like, whoa, slow down, take a moment, look and feel right now. And it's a skill. It is a skill, and it takes practice, and it's really hard for some people in the beginning actually just to be able to feel what's going on. It's like, I don't know what I'm feeling, and there can be dissociation, and there can be just like, oh, I don't have much nuance to like being able to notice what's happening inside me. And so that practice, just try it right now. Maybe pause the video, give it a shot. I find it's a form of meditation, and it's a really, really potent one to understand our experience more clearly. Yeah, and I appreciate you pointing towards that in our relationship. Yeah, we've been friends since that retreat 2 years ago.
yeah.
I don't want to go into it. Yeah, so I'm curious to like to hear more about the heartbreak story and how like the arc of that and how it's gone from where we were at the retreat, what went through there, and how you've pulled into like what how did that resolve? Or has it resolved?
Oh yeah, there's a part of me that like the arc. Oh, it's a wild story, to be honest. Me and my partner spent New Year's together, and in that experience I had the realization during that trip together that I was ready to go all in on this. I was ready to marry this woman.
You were ready
to marry her. And we got back from that trip, and she told me, hey, I need a few days space. And I could feel like, oh my God, I just came to this realization. Whew, all right, feeling some things. And then she messaged me either a day later or whatnot and said, hey, like we need to have a talk, and it's going to be a hard talk, but I just want to prepare you. And I did what you just did, right? Oh. And so the day of that conversation, I went to my favorite coffee shop to journal, to kind of reflect, to mentally prepare myself, to physically prepare myself for what potentially would be a very hard conversation. And I was sitting there was a woman sitting next to me, and for whatever reason I had an impulse to talk to her. And as we got to talking, she shared with me that she was a relationship coach for entrepreneurs. And I was like, wow, how serendipitous is this? I am about to go have what I imagine is going to be an extremely difficult conversation with my partner, who is also an entrepreneur. And she goes, would you like some help? And this is a story that I have told myself and something that I have noticed my own pattern. It is very difficult for me to ask for help. Very difficult. In this moment, I felt so helpless that for the first, maybe not the first time, but it was a very specific moment in time where I felt like, yes, I need some help. Will you help me?
Yeah.
And that planted the seed of what would be an extremely powerful theme throughout my healing journey, which was asking for help.
Huge.
So yeah, she gave me a piece of advice that basically carried me through that conversation. And her advice was, set an intention for the energy that you want to have for this conversation. And no matter what happens, no matter what you say, no matter what she says, no matter what is happening between you, see if you can come back to the intention of that energy. And that, changed that conversation. It was, the energy of my intention for that conversation was that I am worthy and I am enough. And so then when she told me that she didn't want to be in the partnership anymore, and I felt like I just got kicked by a donkey, right? Just like right in the solar plexus. And I came back to that. I am worthy, I am enough. And so I was able to thank her. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that truth with me. And, it's important for me to hear that, right? I want to spend my life with someone who wants to be in partnership with me. And if you don't want to do that, all I can say is thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, there was a bunch of pain waiting, right?
Yeah.
It was like, I got out of that conversation, packed my bag, drove up here to Ubud, and like rented a hotel room and cried for like probably 3 days straight.
Yeah. It's an intense time. And it's interesting. I think that's a great I think that's a really beautiful intention to set, being given that great advice to like what energy do I want to show up with here. I think there's a range of good options, and like that's a really good one. Just reminding yourself, I am worthy, I am enough. And that's tough for some people. I think it's gonna be tougher for some people than others, because some people just really don't have that belief, and there's a way to work towards that belief. And I imagine, as much as one can have that belief in the moment, then there's a multi-month process of like, I'm not good enough. I remember that process after my breakup being probably years of, I think what happened for me in my breakup was it was like a sense of desperation, like really didn't have that intention, and I was desperate. I remember being on my knees and like, don't leave me, and there was a sense that I think what was really unhealthy about my orientation to that relationship was that I like felt and I needed that person to become who I wanted to become, and what I learned through the breakup was, I need to become that person myself, and so it's like holding that I am enoughness with like, I want to keep growing, I can keep growing. And there's been since that breakup was 6 years ago, and for me the arc has been how to hold I am enough, and I can become more. And I am enough is such a hard belief for many people to find for themselves. So I'm curious, when you were trying to stay in that energy in the process of the breakup, was that already something you had a belief in yourself, like you are enough, or was it something you were needing to work on more? And how's your relationship to like I am enough?
Yeah, I think it was such a it was a powerful moment, because that was one of the experiences that I had with her on the trip, was this awareness that I am already worthy, I am already enough. And being able to share that in such a powerful way with her witnessing it was something that was extremely healing in my own journey of coming to this space of I am already enough. So I just had a massive breakthrough with that, with her. Yeah. And one of the reasons that was like
days before the end.
Yeah. And having this experience with her and being like, wow, she held me in that. She witnessed without judgment. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful quality in a partner that I want to have. And it was like this thing that was like, oh my God. And then only to have a few days later, again, like be tested, like, I get to really put this to this test.
Yeah.
And I think it is an ever expanding deep hole of enoughness, of worthiness, but it is this idea of, there's so much further to go, and yet there's nowhere to be.
Beautiful.
And so it's just like, how can I play in this dance of wanting more, desiring more, and also become aware that what I have right now is perfect.
Yeah, love that. That's really been the thing I've been thinking about the most in the last few weeks, and after having some huge shifts. And I think what I'm finding as a framing is like, I'm already enough, and that person that is me right now is so capable that they can grow. And rather than like, I'm not good enough, I must grow, it's like, I have all the things I need to be able to become even more awesome. And it's what allowed me to get to that depth that's felt more consistent in the last few weeks than it ever has probably certainly than it ever has in my life, has been there was a choice that felt essential. It was like, I can no longer go on needing other people to support me in becoming who I am. I can't rely upon partnership with other people and being seen by other people to get to the place where I feel enough. And so I'm just not even going to use that as an option anymore. The option to like have other people be the tool that pulls me to greatness is not an option for me now. And so I feel free suddenly. I'm free. So suddenly all these micro decisions I was always making to like, I need to find a partner, attract a partner into my life. I should do this thing rather than this thing because it's maybe more likely that I'll meet the kind of person that can nourish me emotionally, has just dropped. And what it is now is, how can I nourish myself more every moment? What do I want to do this next hour that I enjoy doing? I am great company for myself. I can just read a book, and that's going to be great because I'm with myself exploring experience. And I think when I zoom out from that perspective, there's also this like sort of meta awareness that, doing that makes me way more attractive. I'm like, there is a genuine security in that, and there's not much that's more attractive than security, because it's a lack of neediness. I genuinely don't need anyone else in the way that I felt that I did before. And so a huge transformation. I want to just point towards the mechanisms that have been underway for me in recent weeks, and I think it's a really hard thing to tell someone. When I talk to my past self, if I was to talk to myself 5 years ago, I think they're very aware that they have this neediness, but they don't know how to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And maybe that mechanism I pointed would help my past self make the decision to really prioritize themselves. And I think that's a powerful move. I've seen it in a lot of women. I've found like really powerful and grounded and potent and secure is that they decided for a period of time to be single, like celibate even, mm-hmm. for like a year or more. A lot of the amazing women I've met in the last year or so, many of them had a period of a year or more of celibacy. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm not choosing to be celibate right now, but I'm really not, for the first time, I'm not trying to find a girlfriend, probably the first time since I was 11 years old. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not trying to find a girlfriend now. Yeah. And it just, everything feels, there's a whole fog of anxiety. It was subtle and not always there, but often permeated. It's just like evaporated.
Yeah. And I think it's a powerful practice to kind of go and reconnect what we were talking about at the start, which is getting rid of distractions. Right? And as soon as you get rid of this distraction of dating, right, which in many cases can be extremely healthy, can be extremely nourishing, can be all these things, it can also be used as a distraction to not address this part of you that isn't comfortable being alone.
Right.
And when all of a sudden you can make these decisions, have these shifts, notice these patterns that are repeating, and then take action to do something to shift it, all of a sudden you make massive progress on your own awareness of enoughness.
Mm. I want to ensure like we're not demonizing dating, and I think dating's great, and there's like, even if it's done with this feeling of like, oh, I want to have a partner, I need to have a partner, I think that's okay. Like we're working with where we're at, and it's like dating's cool, it's great. I think I've had probably 300, 400, 500 first dates. Yeah. Many of them 10 years ago. Yeah. And it was just a really important part of like the thing we were talking about at the first, which is just like exposure therapy to different environments to learn about how we can show up more naturally and more as ourselves. Yeah. It's a potent practice, and it's fun, and dating's great. I think what for me has been most unhealthy about dating is probably ultimately online dating. It's a facsimile of the real thing, and most of the time you're trying to work towards meeting somebody, and you end up meeting them, and you don't even have any sense of the chemistry, and usually there's not good chemistry, however much there's good compatibility. I think I've made a lot of good friends through dating, and I've met I met my last couple of most serious kind of relationships through online dating, but I think the costs outweighed the benefits ultimately. And so I'm stopping online dating, and yeah, I think for me it was particularly unhealthy through Heartbreak as well. It was just like, oh, give me some hit of being wanted, and I don't know. It's okay to nourish ourselves with those things as well, I think, but it's like it so easily becomes unbalanced.
I think that's the important part, right? Hearing you speak about that, I notice an awareness in the different ways you're using it, in good ways and in bad ways, right? Inherently, I don't think anything is bad or good, and it's noticing the intention behind it and being aware of, how am I using this? Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Maybe, maybe not. And only you can make that call. And I think to go back to the feeling, right? There yes. are specific feelings that happen that you can become aware of that act as a guide of, is this in alignment with the person that I am, that I want to be, or is it out of alignment?
Yeah.
And that has been a powerful tool for myself. What does that feel like when I'm out of integrity?
Yeah.
What does it feel like when I am in integrity? And how can I be gentle with myself when I notice I'm out of integrity? And how can I continue to show up for myself and get better at feeling these things and then taking action?
Yeah, I think there was a long period of my past self where I just reactive to uncomfortable feelings, and just like, oh, what can I do that will like bandage this feeling and just like give me some feeling of like relief, and maybe it's just like going on YouTube or watching a movie or going on online dating or going on social media or like having to go and meet a person in real life, just like something that like takes me away from there's a feeling I don't want to, and it's not even it wasn't even a recognition of like noticing there was a feeling I didn't want to feel. And so now I'm really learning to pause. The pause, which Tara Brach talks about in this book I'm reading at the moment, Radical Acceptance. It's like just pause and be and look at what is. And there's an orientation to the pause which can be really calm. Just like no need to think even really, no need to ruminate, just, and maybe no need to like look too intensely. It's just pause, take a breath, and maybe there's a feeling there, and to like see the feeling rather than get immersed in it. It's mindfulness, it's meditation, and but just to interject just little moments of that, and then there's the choice can emerge. It's like, oh, I was going to go on Tinder. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I do, but like, what's going on there? And sometimes it's like I don't want to go there, but I do anyway. But the more I practice, the more it's like, oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to, and now I'm not online dating anymore.
Interesting.
And like there's no impulse to now. And the same is happening with social media. Very little social media use now. I wanted to continue. I think I pulled you out of the arc about 20 minutes ago when I got you to describe the bodily feeling, and I can't quite remember where we were in the arc of your breakup. And
I mean, that theme ultimately of asking for help was the point that kept coming up throughout the arc, right? And I had many opportunities to ask for help, to basically dive deeper into this healing work. Meeting you was completely serendipitous. After having that experience with my friend, asking for help, receiving it, then coming up to Ubud, and I was at a cafe, randomly ran into a friend of mine. They asked how I was doing. I told them I was feeling shit. They're like, oh my God, you have to go to this retreat. And I was like, wow. They're like, it starts in a few days. Here's the facilitator's number. And I had heard of him. And
shout out to Rick Smith.
Yeah, shout out to Rick
Awakened
Smith.
Leadership Retreat. I think the tenderedge.com. If you Google the Tender Edge, check out this retreat. Rick is an incredible facilitator, and this week-long retreat is an amazing transformational program. So I just want to like shout out to Rick.
Yes, shout out to Rick. And so I had experienced one of his like 30-minute workshops, hour-long workshops a year before, and knew that I had always wanted to go to something longer, but I had always made, not right now. And so then this friend that I saw said, oh, it's starting in a few days. Here's his number. I messaged him. He's like, there's one spot left. Do you want it? I was like, yes.
You got the last spot?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh man, you were such a great addition to that retreat. Because it was like, you had quite a different energy from a lot of people there. A lot of people were like I don't know, there's many different facets to everyone's personalities. And I think that was a good diverse group, but you certainly had a unique energy. I think you were in this really, it felt like a very strong masculine energy. To me, that's what I recall of your time there. And that retreat itself is pretty cool because it's like themed around something different every day, like love, family, money, death, some other like really big themes. And I think, it's interesting when I'm heartbroken, I can enter a very different state of being, and it's a really cool thing to experience in a way. Like, oh, I feel more powerful in some ways when I'm heartbroken. Because it's like there's a strong shield sometimes, and then there's just like a real roaring release of like anger. I can get into anger more, and all these things are super powerful. And I think when we're in the most potent emotional states, we have access to wisdom that's harder to come by sometimes, and that's why heartbreak can be, if it's harnessed healthily, I don't know if that's the only reason why, but heartbreak, if harnessed well and healthily with tools and a useful orientation, can be so powerful for the cultivation of insight and a deepening of wisdom and ultimately an orientation to a more flourishing life. For me, the deepest progress and the fastest acceleration towards the greater me has always come from periods of heartbreak. And so I think that's why the work you're doing is so important. And so there's an element of it which was we got to the part which was, can you remind me where we were in the arc?
Of asking for help.
Asking for help. And yeah, so what happened from there?
I basically continued to ask for help, going through different programs, through my own education, through books, workshops, going to retreats like this, talking to other men, and hearing the feedback of, oh wow, this is so needed. I don't know how to do that. I also don't want to get stuck in unhealthy coping mechanisms, right? There becomes this awareness of, oh wow, I am using online dating, I am using drinking, I am using working, I'm using exercise. Whatever it is, there becomes this awareness of, this has shifted from something beneficial and good into something that I'm using to distract from something deeper. And some people know, I myself, it took me a little bit of like, oh, I'm avoiding this pain ultimately, and figuring out ways to get into that over and over and over again. Feeling that and seeing the impact it had on me when I would talk with other men or run them through certain exercises, seeing the impact it had on them, really was just like, this is where I want to be. Again, following feelings. Right? There is a feeling that I get when, again, a shout out to Rick Smith, right? When you get into this tender edge, this edge that's just outside of your comfort zone that allows for the most growth, that itself has a specific feeling in your nervous system. And for me, I realized that when I can follow that feeling, I feel passionate, I feel fulfilled, I feel excited. And so what I noticed is, as I was having these conversations, as I was doing this work, I had that feeling of like, oh, this is so good. And so following that has led me to continue down this road of healing through heartbreak.
Yeah, where did journaling come into all this? Because I know you've got this project which is about journaling. Is journaling something you've always done? How did it help you through was it part of this kind of this growth process through heartbreak?
Definitely. I have journaled about every single day for over 12 years now.
Wow, no way.
Yeah.
How do you journal? What's the process been like over that 12 years?
It has evolved, but it started with a daily journaling practice where I was just writing. And this started because 12 years ago, I decided that I was going to sell all of my things and go on a trip around the world for a year. And I wanted to do it super minimally.
And you're still on it?
And I guess technically I'm still on it. I still live out of carry-on luggage to this day, over 12 years later. But on that first trip, I was like, there was this awareness that this is going to be the trip of a lifetime, that this trip is going to change me. And I wanted to document that somehow. And journaling was the way I chose. And so I started writing every single day during that trip. And one of the things that came out of that trip was how powerful that practice was for me, for my own gratitude. That was one of the practices that I was doing. Is
gratitude journaling.
At the end of every day, I would write at least three highlights from the day. And what I noticed was how powerful that practice was. People would call me, hey, how's your trip? And suddenly I could have these super colorful stories about these very small, almost insignificant moments of a person that I met, a conversation that I had, a meal that I had, that were just so filled with detail, and seeing them receive it, being like, wow, what a trip. Me getting to have the experience again, leave that conversation being like, oh wow, I feel way better than I did 10 minutes ago. And so I was doing that on a daily basis. At the end of the month, I would go back and then kind of come up with these like, here's the 10 coolest things that happened to me this month.
Nice.
At the end of the year, I went back through all those monthly entries and then came up with the coolest things that happened to me that year.
Yeah.
And that was like, wow, this is powerful.
Yeah, I found it really, I haven't had that experience of like relaying gratitude journaling to other people, but I find when I do it, even for a short amount of time or occasionally, it gets me out of a zone where I complain about things much really, and I just feel a much greater, like ultimately, if anyone's watching this, they're alive, and that's just such an incredible opportunity. And I think when I gratitude journal, there's like two forms I typically do. Like one is like a broad, like what am I grateful for in my life, and one is like what am I grateful for today, and I maybe like 3 to 5 things on each. And it's just like, oh wow, there are things I can be grateful for, even if I'm in the midst of like a real crappy time, and it's so life affirming, and it can shift my state. There's something happening subconsciously. I don't know what it is, but if I'm in like a low point, it just stops me. There's stopping like the negative, complaining, ruminating on what's bad kind of mind state. I think it's a really powerful practice.
Yeah, and it's like I have what I would consider a very violent inner critic.
Yeah.
And so this practice is so helpful for me to really ground into reality.
What's that violent inner critic like?
Violent. I use that word very specifically because he's violent. Right? If I were to speak to someone the way that he speaks to me, it's violent.
What's your relationship to it now?
Oh, it's more. There is more of a love there. Right? There's an awareness that critic is there because speaking to me like that protected me at certain points in my life. And so there's an awareness that is the tool that I used from a younger age to keep myself safe.
Yeah.
And to keep myself out of harm. And I didn't have like a difficult childhood by any means, but that as a child, it's like the way I viewed things was very different.
How would it be to share some of the things that violent inner critic speaks? Would you be open to that?
Sure. I mean, let's see. Right now it's like, don't even fucking think about sharing it. Right? Like you'd be a fucking moron to share what I'm saying to you on camera, right? How could you be so fucking stupid?
Yeah, and thanks for sharing. Appreciate you like being open to leaning into that. And I hear that your relationship to that voice has shifted a lot over time. And so I'm curious, like, how was it to experience that voice before there was a transformation in your relationship to it? And like, what is it like now when that inner critic is speaking?
I mean, to experience it before was scary, not in the way that you probably think that I'm explaining that, but it's scary because I didn't even notice it. Right? Like this voice, these types of words were just so commonplace, like it was just so pervasive that I had normalized it. Right? Like that's just, right? I am a fucking idiot, whatever it is. And so then to have the experience of working with that.
Do you remember what gave you an awareness of it? Oh, wow, I'm saying that to myself.
I'd gone through a workshop by a man named David Bedrick, who does a lot of work around shame.
Yeah, I know. Actually, Alex, who was on my podcast on one of the early episodes, really likes him, and I think he is friends with him.
And so we were doing an exercise around the inner critic, right, around this, and having, like, basically doing what we just did in a way where you're speaking out the actual words of what they're saying, and then imagining, like, actually having the conversation of what would happen if you said that to someone? What would happen if someone said that to you? And all of a sudden, like, that would not be okay at all.
Yeah.
Like if we were having a conversation and someone started calling me a fucking moron, right? Like I would be getting ready to fight. Like literally getting ready to fight. And I'm saying that to myself constantly, so much so that I don't even realize it anymore.
Yeah, I think this is really commonplace, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did an exercise in an authentic relating workshop, which was like, take a piece of paper and write down a few of the criticisms you say to yourself. And then we swapped our criticisms with our partner and we read them to each other in a really serious voice. It was a very potent experience to both just see how the other person received their own words and to receive our own words from someone else. Yeah, it's a powerful and illuminating reframing. And so you did this in a workshop with David, his name Bedrick or Bedrick?
Bedrick.
Yeah.
And so that shifted all of a sudden. It's like, oh, I can I can not normalize that conversation, right? As soon as I have the awareness of like, wow, this is actually violent. As soon as I hear it, I can, I can set my own internal boundary. I'm not available to be talked to like that. Right? And just saying that to myself is a super powerful way to be like, no, I don't accept that today. Not right now.
And so now, years later, I guess that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that still how you orient to the voice? It's like, not today, or is there a relationship continue to evolve?
Yeah, it continues to evolve, right? And sometimes it can be funny, right? Right. It can, once I've switched that relationship and starting to use that power as a spotlight, right? Because when that voice comes out, it's often as a way to protect me from being seen, from being visible, from being humiliated. Oftentimes these spaces are extremely powerful places to be because that's what offers me the most growth. So it in itself has become a tool of recognizing when I am coming up to my edge of a comfort zone, right? When that voice starts to get really loud, it's like, oh, it brings me into presence. What's going on here? What am I actually afraid of? What am I doing to bring this up? And in that inquiry, oftentimes it's like, oh, I'm doing work that is the work that I should be doing. And I can start to notice when I start to check out, to distract, to pick up the phone, right? Yeah. Oh, here comes that voice, right? So let me distract by getting on the phone instead of working on this thing, this project, this email, this Instagram post, this podcast, whatever it is, right? That I want to protect myself from.
Yeah. So over time, there's been I think through practicing seeing the voice, seeing what it's saying, you have more awareness when it arises. Through this process of slowing down and looking at what's going on inside. I guess those embodiment practices really help as well, and you can there's an interplay between bodily feelings and voices in our head, and then we can be more aware when they arise, and then we can choose, are we going to get distracted by this, or are we going to use it as a signal that we're doing something that's meaningful to us, and then we can choose how to orient to the voice as well. Yeah, great stuff. And so journaling. How's journaling interplayed with all of this stuff? And so you were talking about your journey through journaling, and initially gratitude journaling.
Yeah, and so ultimately it became a way for me to document my inner world. Right? It became a way for me to document things that I would normally keep to myself or would normalize. Right? And suddenly having this space to put it on paper, one gave me a space to get it out of my head. Right? I could find okay, that's out. But one of the most powerful parts about it was then coming back later to read these things when I'm in a very specific space, a very, very activated space. Coming back to it later once I've regulated my nervous system. Oftentimes reading those entries provides such amazing insights, such amazing patterns, such amazing things that I can then, when I'm regulated, I can come back to that space and be like, oh, whoa. Every time something like this happens, I basically disassociate, right? And so it becomes an extremely powerful tool to start my own healing through pattern recognition.
Yeah.
It also becomes an extremely entertaining book to read. If you go back, if any one of you are a journaler and you go back to read these things, it's like one of the most entertaining books you'll ever read because the main character is you. Yeah. You're going through things, you're rereading things that were so potent and powerful, and you know exactly how they played out in the end. So you get to go back and relive these things and it is such an entertaining read. Right?
Yeah.
Just in that is super beneficial.
Yeah, I'm envious of people that have been journaling for many years. I've been journaling pretty consistently for just 3 or 4 years, and I just can't believe I didn't do it sooner. It's been so useful. I don't know. I think I get a bit exponential, a bit openly enthusiastic about a lot of different practices, but journaling has been very, very powerful for multiple reasons for me. It's I get to slow down in the moment, take a step back, and just really what is going on here, put it on the page, work through it day after day. When I'm going through something heavy, I'll keep rereading the last few days and seeing how things are evolving. And then when something breaks through, I track it. I get to really pick apart the nuance. I have to work through it with clarity in order to express it in words. And it's like a forcing mechanism to get to a place of clarity. And then, this like looking back at this thing that happened. For me, I think the most potent part of that is just the integration. It's like, so the Rick retreat, took loads of notes during the retreat. And then when it's over, it's really, I think it's easy to like forget most of what was learned. And when I have these really potent experiences, I reread it. After the experience, I pretty much reread every day for a few days until I'm like, I really strongly remember like the nuance of this whole thing. And then I'll revisit a month later, revisit a year later, and looking back at the really potent times of transformation. I think I want to do that now, actually. After this, today, I think I look back at some potent memories from journals and like remind myself what were like the crucial learnings. And so now it's like a really exciting process to journal when I'm having big breakthroughs, because I've learned how useful it is for growth in the moment and how good it is to look back at it from the future.
Yeah, and what you're touching on is another powerful thing about journaling, right? Is that it's such a huge tool, and you can use it for so many different things.
So many ways of doing it. It's really varied. I guess meditation, some of these practices have many different ways of doing them, and so. Yeah. So you were talking about gratitude journaling. I wonder if you could reel off just like a bunch of different ways to journal, or what for you have been like the main forms.
Yeah, I think gratitude journaling is a very specific practice. I think you have this aspect of what I call like brain dumping, right? When you are activated in the moment, when you have a great idea, when something exciting happens, when something bad happens, and having these moments of like, I'm activated, taking the time to brain dump during those moments is another form of journaling, right? Like, how can I document where I am right now? I think there is a style of journaling, like journaling for the future, right? This idea of dreaming, right? Taking your subconscious desires, putting them into paper, and like speaking them off, right? I think there's something extremely powerful in that. And oftentimes when I go back and read journals where I have done this, it's like, all of this happened. All of it.
It's like manifestation type stuff. Like,
right.
I'm going to become this thing. This is who I want to be. This is what I'm going to do. It's
I want this, I want this, I want that.
There's a form of writing that which is like writing as if it's the future and it's already happened. Like, I am this person. I have done this thing today. And it's like, whoa, that's not possible today. But by speaking it as if it's true, there's this real, I think Conor McGregor, the martial artist, talks about just like imagining the moves he's going to make in the ring the next day, the next week, over and over again. And he just envisages them so much that when they happen, he's already seen them 100 times before, and he's kind of like knows this is destiny. And I think there's a lot of power in that, with like envisaging our future in words,
visioning it and feeling it in the moment, right? When we're talking about how do you become worthy, or how do you practice this idea of like, I am already worthy, right? This is visualization.
Right.
This is, what does worthiness feel like? What does it look like? Where have I had this feeling in the past? I want to be successful. What does success feel like in my body? Okay, let me think back to a moment when I felt successful. If I've been keeping a journal, I have a very vivid memory of that, right? I can go back to that moment. I can relive that. I can feel what success feels like in my body. All of a sudden, I've taken this feeling of success from the past, I've brought it to where I am in the present. I want to be successful in the future. This is what I think it looks like. I can feel successful right now. And when I'm moving through the world as a successful person, all of a sudden, this idea of what I think success is, I'm no longer like, if I have this, I will be successful. Right. It's, I am successful now. What does a successful person want to do? And when in my mind it's this, it's like all of a sudden I'll start taking different actions based on that. Right?
And without any of these practices in place, it's so easy for fear to take over, and like, I'm not good enough, and this is never going to happen. I wish I could be this. It's not fair. I can't be that. There's a reframing that can take place with all this work, this journaling, and this personal growth. This is what it's about. It's like we can become who we are destined to be, and there's like, yes, I believe this. And through that belief, it also nourishes the present moment. It's like, yes, I am worthy, and I am good enough, and I can do this.
So and I think those would be like 3 different ways to journal. I think a fourth one would be, like as a way to document on your way to these goals. Right? So it's like one thing to be like, hey, this is where I want to be. And then there's an aspect of like, okay, now that I know where I want to be, what are the steps? How can I show up on a day-to-day basis and reconfirm to myself that I am doing this?
Yeah.
Right? Here I am again, showing up. This is important to me. Did I do it? Yes.
What?
Did I do it? No. Is this actually important to me? Yes, it still is. Okay. And you're having this in the moment check-in.
Yeah. I had about 2 months over the summer where every day I started the day with what went well yesterday, what didn't go well, what would have made it go well, it didn't happen, how can I make today go well? And that was to have that practice every day for like 60 days or so, sort of started a new way of orienting to like holding myself accountable, which is really cool. Yeah. I think, if you're going to recommend that one thing for like an easy way for someone to start journaling, what is there like a preferred method you start with?
Gratitude journaling. And the reason for that is because oftentimes what I find with people for any habits, what they will try and do is they will put time and effort in whatever it is, right? Whether it's going to the gym, whether it's journaling, whether it's something entrepreneurial, right? They will come up with the most optimized plan. And they will inevitably drop it, right? And so if you want to build a habit, I recommend what I call, for journaling specifically, I call it the MVE, the minimum viable entry. And so what I tell people in that is, imagine that you have had like the busiest day, right? From the moment you wake up, you have meetings, you have to run out the door, blah, blah, blah. You do all these things. You get home from the end of your day, you're getting into bed, and as you're pulling the cover up, you realize, fuck, I forgot to do my journal entry. What can you do in those 2-3 minutes that allows you to still get your rep in? And so the reason I recommend gratitude journaling is because it's super quick, but also the data on doing this practice is so massively beneficial, where you're taking time to be grateful for things.
Yeah.
And so that's where I recommend people start, right? And so then, that's your minimum viable entry. Then you can build off of it from there, right? You have a day that you have more time. All right, now you can sit down for 20 minutes and write a long entry.
Yeah, great advice. One thing I found particularly useful to add to that practice with gratitude journaling was to have a dedicated book which was only gratitude journaling, and I just had it either on my pillow or by my bed. And so often I would forget about it, and I was getting to bed, and because it's such a quick thing to do, super easy, and it felt good, and it's like, okay, I got 2 minutes to like write 3 things I'm grateful for about my life and 3 things I'm grateful for about today, and I would do it consistently because it was just in a convenient location, super quick to do.
Yeah, it's such a powerful practice, man. The gratitude, and then even honing in on how you are writing those things, the details that you're recalling, so that when you read them, 10 years down the road, you can bring yourself back to that moment.
Yeah.
One of the wildest things I've used this gratitude practice for was telling a story on stage. And because I have had this, I was reading a book, it's called like Storyworthy or something like this. It's an amazing book for learning how to become a good storyteller. But his premise is that a good story is actually only about a 5-second moment. And the goal of the story is to build curiosity and intrigue and comedy all around this 5-second moment. And he gives the example of Jurassic Park, right? This movie about dinosaurs and blah, 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 and all these things. And he argues that the entire point of that movie is a 5-second moment when he is sitting in the tree and the kid falls asleep on him and his raptor claw falls out of his pocket. And that's the moment that basically this man realizes that he wants to have kids. And the whole entire story is in service of that 5-second moment. And so his premise that a good story is actually about a 5-second moment. So then the question is, where are powerful 5-second moments from my life? Right? And if you have been keeping a journal of 5-second moments that you are so happy about, all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, life is actually pretty beautiful.
Yeah. Has there been any 5-second moments that stand out in recent days and weeks?
5-second moments in recent days and weeks. I had, yes. I was just writing about this. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we got into a similar topic of how beautiful life is and taking moments to pause. And again, to your sentence of like the importance of the pause. So we had this conversation, and I felt like extremely connected to them, and like left that like, oh yeah, it was just a reminder to take a breath and notice things. And the next day, I walked out of my apartment and went to go jump on my scooter in a rush, right? Like, oh, I got to get to the gym. I have all this stuff optimized, right? And I walk out to my scooter, and a frangipani flower had like landed right on the seat of my scooter. And so I'm like rushing. Boom, see the flower. Stop and smell the roses, right? It was like the joke, right? And it was just
Stop and smell the frangipani.
Oh my God, stop, pause. How beautiful is this moment? And even now, it's so touching. It's just like, I'm on this island, living this life. There's this, and I'm rushing to get to the next thing. Get to the next thing so I can get to the next thing. And why can't I just be here? So like picking up that flower and smelling it before I drove off to the gym. Super powerful moment.
What makes it so emotional for you right now?
It's just like, I think that's a theme for me, right? The rushing. When I get to the next thing, then I can be happy. When I get to this, I can be happy. When I get to this, then it's just like, be happy right now. And so it's just like, fuck. It's like it's touching me because it's like, oh, it's just again a powerful reminder to be here and how beautiful it is. It's just like beautiful.
Yeah. When we can slow down, really slow down. There's beauty in every moment.
Yeah.
It's like, sounds like a cliche. It's like cliches are cliches for a reason.
Indeed.
Interesting how I'm wanting to slow down. There's been a lot of rushing. You learning to slow down more in life?
Yeah.
And it's still a struggle.
Sometimes better than others.
How does it affect you? How does it affect like the nature of your connection to yourself, connection to others?
I think when I rush, I disconnect, so it changes everything.
You get out of your body and into your head.
Even out of my head, I think I disconnect, like I'm fully gone. It's like I'm trying to get to the next thing for whatever reason.
Yeah. I guess there's something we don't want, right? I think there's something I don't want, and I fall into too. And I think it's like, these moments of like, I'm something I don't want to be. Sometimes I'm being in a way I don't want to be in the world, and I sense that you're like present with it, and it feels like, I'm curious how it feels for you to be like reflecting on that now.
I think it's it's just a beautiful moment for me, really. Just the reminder to pause, to breathe.
I feel a lot of gratitude. It's like it feels I feel very different suddenly. Like the vibe of the conversation shifted. I feel slower and calm. I feel more connected with you. I feel I feel grateful that you're like allowing the emotion to just come. I think a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of men struggle with that. Yeah, I think a lot of women struggle with it too, but I know a lot of men just like almost never cry. And it's I wonder if we can talk about crying for a minute. It's like I fucking love crying.
Oh God, yeah. It is a powerful release. One of the most powerful for me as well.
Have you always been able to cry?
No.
When did that change?
I think the first I got into Tantra 6 years ago.
Neo-Tantra?
Yeah, Neo-Tantra. Tantra, kind of hard. The lines are blurred.
Yeah,
I guess that would mean it's Neo-Tantra. But there was, again, this theme of getting into my body. And doing practices during that retreat where it was like, oh my gosh, there is so much sadness here.
And it had been buried.
And so it was like...
Hasn't been felt, and so it hasn't been able to go anywhere. And so it's been in there, and it's like I'm not speaking for you, I guess I'm speaking for myself, and when things aren't felt, there's all this dysfunction emerges around it, and it comes out ultimately it comes out in me in like a lack of authenticity, and like I'm not being how I want to be in the world, and I'm making choices I don't want to make. So there was a Tantra retreat, and this was like really the first time you allowed your tears to flow?
In a long while. I think there would be moments, I could think of like painful times where, I think one that's coming to my mind right now is when my grandma passed away. And I remember getting the news, and it was like, gotta be strong for my mom.
How old were you then?
It wasn't too long ago. It would have been...
You were a fully grown adult?
Yeah, fully grown adult. But within these 12 years that I've been traveling, I guess it would have been like 9 years ago. There was this feeling of like, gotta be strong. Can't cry now. And there was also an awareness of like, I should be crying. I should be feeling something. And like, I'm not. So that was an interesting experience. And then I remember like getting on the plane to go home and having this moment of realization of like, I'm never going to see this woman again. I remember what happened. We were racing home to New Mexico to basically prepare, but she had checked off that she wanted her body donated to science. And so they told us like, you have to get home quick because we need to prepare it. Like if you want to see the body, you need to get home within like, I don't remember the time frame, but we have procedures and like we need to get it moving. And so having the realization of we weren't going to make it, and so I wasn't going to get to ever see her again. And then I was just like, the tears flow. But it was such I can't let anyone see me. It was just like a, couple drops. But yeah, then again at this Tantra retreat, it was like a full release. So yeah, that was. And
that release at the retreat, did that then lead to like a greater ease consistently since then with crying?
It became easier and easier. It was the first awareness of, wow, this is really okay, and it's, wow, I feel so drastically different. Like it was night and day. Right, having that.
I mean, for me, immediately after I cry.
Yeah.
Or even during crying.
afterward, it's like, oh my God, and then it's like there's a lightness.
Yeah, it's like, oh, everything is so awful. I cry, and in the crying, I can really actually. I mean, I've always been easy with tears. Actually, it's not been a struggle for me, and thankfully, I think I'm really grateful for that. And when I cry, I am just immersed in the sadness in a way that doesn't feel bad. It feels meaningful as fuck. It feels really present. And then the tears, as you say, the tears go, and there's a lightness. And for me, the stories of like catastrophizing have gone.
Yeah, I resonate with that a lot. The tears are harder for me, so oftentimes I notice that it'll come in waves sometimes, where it'll be like, I'll have the initial. I'll be like, oh, that feels good, but there's still some there.
And then there's like a few minutes or days, or what's the space?
It's getting down to like minutes, where it'll be like, oh, there's still something there. And then it's like, all right, relax into and then it'll like have another wave. And then it'll be like, I'm feeling good, but and then I'll have like another release. And then oftentimes it'll be this feeling of just pure. And then when I feel that, I'm like, oh yeah, that was it.
Any advice you'd give to your past self? we keep giving your past self advice.
That's good, man.
yeah. But like how to crack open those tears when they were in that point where they just never cried. What would you say about that? How can one, if one wants to go about releasing tears more freely, what's the move?
I think if it's like really blocked, I think oftentimes my recommendation would be to go get help, right? Or learn a framework, right? It doesn't have to be it doesn't mean you have to like go to a workshop or something, but like find a framework on emotional release.
Release.
Yeah, or like a somatic therapy to like get in touch with these feelings in your body. And yeah, I think
somatic therapy, absolutely enormous. The most powerful move for some people. I think if people are really feeling stuck with not being able to let powerful emotions out and just feel them, a good somatic therapist can be completely life-changing. Huge. Shout out to somatic therapy, to journaling, to working through heartbreak.
Through connection.
Where are you at now, and what does the future hold for work and life in the coming months?
Oh, the coming months will be exciting. I was just home recently. I met a fabulous woman, and so she will be out here for an entire month in like 2 weeks.
And that will end in heartbreak?
Maybe a not so traumatic version, but like the she doesn't live out here.
Yeah.
So there will be that many of like, oh, you're leaving again.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I made that joke, I think, because I'm just like the most positive things that happen in my life are the most painful. It's just like, essentially, would I choose? Do I really want another thing that painful to happen? God, probably not.
So my question for you is do you think that has to happen? Do you think you have to have painful experiences to then?
I think so, yeah. I don't think there's a way. I think there's no way to learn the things that are most important without fucking them up. And so there's like doing things wrong to learn how to do things right, and there's like seeing where the emotional knots have not yet worked through. Well, seeing is not good enough. It's not good enough. I'd read for years that like looking at pain is like the route to it evaporating, and I believed it, but I didn't know it until I felt it. And so I think we can do practices, and we can take on really intense practices and sort of artificially create struggles. I think a 10-day silent meditation retreat is really hard, and that created huge amounts of growth. It was maybe the first 10-day silent meditation retreat was like the most growthful thing I did that I chose to do. wasn't as growthful as the things I didn't choose to do. And I'm not willing to choose things that are that painful.
True.
Like the 9 months after the end of my 6-year relationship, I fell to the ground 5 times a day as if I'd been hit by a car, just sobbing. And it was 9 months of that. And then another 9 months of like a lot of crying, but not so much. And then I did my second 10-day Vipassana retreat. Actually, that was about 9 months after breakup, and I remember day 5 of the retreat, sitting on my bed and suddenly feeling like I'd reached the stage of acceptance. Oh yeah, I don't want this back. I'm not going to get this back. Life is moving on. But that whole process of many months of pain, so much learning, because it was like, I'm in an emergency. I need to solve this. And I think people have bigger emergencies in their life. They're in war zones, and their family members have catastrophes and murder and war and child, all kinds of horrible things happen in life, right? And I've been fortunate to not have those. I think we can choose things that are challenging. I think having children, people seem to speak to us just like nothing comes close as a transformational life experience that like one can choose perhaps than having kids. That's not something I've done yet. So I think we can choose things that can transform us, but I don't know that just like having an easy coasting life, that's not the way to grow. That's not the way that we become amazing version of ourselves. And ultimately it's not a meaningful existence. I don't want to be just like having, I think in this town there's a subsection of people who are just sort of floating around having a joyous time constantly, and don't think that can nourish anyone. I think it's as dysfunctional as the things we're talking about, where there's all this pain inside and you don't look at it. I think there's the opposite. Well, it's kind of the same thing. We can just float through life having a good time, drinking smoothies by the pool, going to a tantric orgy and having a beautiful breathwork session. Well, the thing is, some of these things do touch on like, oh shit, I'm actually I'm doing some transformational work. I think people can get stuck in all that, and it becomes just like a theme park for like pleasure. Or I'm enjoying the work. Sometimes we've got to do things which are hard. I think I have like, I think it's a mistake to not take on hard things in life. It's actually where the deepest meaning comes from. So admirable that what are you taking on right now? So you're taking on this. There's your business ventures with the Heartbreak stuff, and then there's the risk of a new Heartbreak. I wonder if we can like wrap up with. I'm curious to hear about what's going on with what are your plans with the helping men with business with Heartbreak now, and how's that looking? What do you want that to look like, and what can people reach out to you for if they're in a difficult position in relation to the pain of a breakup?
I mean the quickest thing is just to reach out to me, right? Find me on Instagram, Journal Anyway. Send me a message.
Journal Anywhere.
Journal Anyway.
Journal Anyway.
Journal Anyway. Send me a message there. It's me. We'll have a chat. As far as what I want to create a container for men that can come into for a long period of time, right? I think change takes time. Forget the quote again. Who said the quote? But it's like it's like all the information is out there, and if that's all it took, right, everyone would be walking around smart with 6 packs, right? But it takes the knowledge and the implementation, the embodiment. And so I want to create a space where the knowledge is there for you to go through to learn about these different embodiment practices, these somatic practices, these journaling practices, these types of practices to get in touch with your feelings, to understand what happened as well. It also, you do also have to use your brain. So body, brain, and then creating the vision for where you want to go, and creating a space for men to come together to learn that, to support other men, to support each other, and ultimately move through that pain into something beautiful.
So currently, is there a one-to-one thing you're offering, or is there and what does that group container, or what will that group container look like? What's the state of that right now?
So that is being built at the moment. So depending on when you watch this, it might already be created, but it will be a year-long container, right, where you can come in, have access to this material for a full year, There is weekly support through coaching calls. There is a twice a month a men's circle, so for the men to come together to create this space to not problem solve, but to feel, to see, to witness, not to solve. Right? And then on top of that, there are a bunch of resources, all these things, but ultimately it's a year-long container centered around men coming together to heal their heartbreak and support and be with other men.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Great. Thanks for the conversation, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything to wrap up? I used to do this thing, like if there was one sentence that summarized the conversation for you, or like a feeling or an action, is there anything, or a nugget? I don't know. I still haven't worked out how I'm going to wrap up my podcast. I feel like there's something that should like smooth things over at the end, but I don't know what it is.
I mean, I think the sentence or the feeling would be, don't forget to pause.
Don't forget to pause. How often?
Forever.
Yeah, don't forget to pause. Take a pause when you when the frangipani figuratively drops in your lap.
Yeah.
Take a moment. Feel the moment. And enjoy life. I'm trying to be poetic and I'm sounding like a fool. Yeah. Pause. Just pause.
Just pause.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.